Hello everyone, I just did a long detailed video on this ACSS reticle here that I think everybody should have on their red dot. Okay, if you got a red dot, you should have this reticle on here. It's a great reticle and you should have a magnifier behind it. Magnifier is easy on, easy off, so there's no reason not to have that on your rifle, unless you got an LPVO. Okay, so I want to do a short video here explaining how this reticle works. Okay, basically you've got the 65 MOA circle, right? And then you've got this chevron here, and then you've got the 3 dots underneath over here. Now you need a magnifier to see these details, okay? If you don't use a magnifier, the image is going to look like this. It's going to look like a little arrow, and then the 3 dots underneath it are going to like kind of merge into a squiggly line over here, okay? So this is meant to be seen with the magnifier. 3x works good, 6x works better, okay? Don't worry about field of view. The idea here is you keep the magnifier off, find your target. If you need to shoot it, fast, you just shoot it without the magnifier. If you need to really see detail, then you flip the magnifier on, okay? So with this, what we're going to do is we're going to zero in at 50 yards. So we're going to put that tip underneath the bullseye at 50 yards. We get our zero. That's going to give us our second zero at 200 yards. Okay, we're going to go to 200 yards. We're going to confirm it to make sure it's true. If we need to adjust it, we'll adjust it because the 200 yards is more important than the 50 yards. If you're an inch higher or an inch lower at 50 yards, it doesn't matter. It may be true at 200 yards. So the legs over here, right? The legs are going to be 300 yards. The first dot is 400 yards. The next dot is 500 yards, and the last dot's going to be 600 yards. Now, when I shot this at 500 yards with my 11.5-inch barrel using Wolf Gold, which is basically slower ammunition, instead of like 3,000 feet per second, the thing is going something like 2,600 feet per second. Okay, so for me, the way it worked, I got a 200 yards zero at the tip, 300 yards. The legs are true at 300 yards. At 400 yards. Basically, I had this dot at the top of the paper, right, and then it dropped like a couple of inches below it. So I was like maybe 6 inches low, okay, which is fine, okay. Basically, if you put it on the chest, you'll drop it into the stomach, or you put it on the face or neck, you'll drop it into the chest, okay. At 500 yards, right, with my 11.5-inch, what I had to do is I had to put my dot on top of the paper, right. In order to drop it into the center of the 36-inch paper, right? 36 inches is what a man is from belt to head. So my hold is on top of the head in order to drop him into the chest with that ammunition. If I use faster ammunition, right? So if I use let's say something that's going 3,000 feet per second, right? Then I would just, most likely I would have to hold the dot in the center of the target. I'd have to test it out to be sure, but either way, I'm going to hit the target, okay? And I basically chronograph all my ammunition, so I have a good idea of how fast it's going. If you've got like let's say if you got green tips or something, that's going to be true, right? You're going to basically at 500 yards, you're going to put your dot on the target and you're going to hit it, okay? At 600 yards, I haven't tested it, but with the Wolf Gold that I shot it with, what most likely I'd have to do is I'd have to take the belt to head. That would be my holdover, or in this case, it was a 36-inch paper, so that would be my hold over the target. Okay, so that's how that would work out. So these are our holding points. So now the question is, how do we know what the distance is, right? Let's say we don't have a rangefinder. How do we know what the distance is? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to use the 65 MOA circle, or even if you have a 68 MOA circle, it's going to work fine. So with a 65 MOA circle at 100 yards, your man is going to stand with his feet here, head here, okay? So he's going to stand inside of this circle at 100 yards. At 200 yards, he's going to take up half the circle. So feet here at the tip, head to the top of the circle, okay? At 300 yards, he's going to come up 1/3 of the way, okay? I made a note that 1/3 of the way. Move this camera a little bit closer, okay? Okay, so at 300 yards, he's coming up 1/3 of the way. At 400 yards, he's going to come up half the way. Okay, so it's going to come up half the way. Feet here, head's going to come here. Now, if you have a circle dot, it usually has like these little 4 hashes here. At 500 yards, your man's going to be equal to like one of the little hashes. This reticle here doesn't have the hashes. So with this one, what we're going to do is at 500 yards, his feet are going to be at the dot down here, and his head is going to come up to the legs of the reticle. Okay. At 600 yards, your man's going to stand with his feet at the bottom of the dot, and then his head is going to come up to the top dot. Okay, so 600 yards, he's going to take up the space of these 3 dots. Now, what you can also do is, if you only see the half the man, right? If you see the man from, let's say, belt to head, I mean, you can also, like for example, at 600 yards, you know, basically instead of him being here, like his belt would come here and his head would go there. So I can do this with all of these. I can, if I only see half the man, you know, I can do a quick calculation in my head, right? To, you know, let's say at 200 yards. All right, great. His belt's going to come here, head there. You know, I can figure out what 200 yards is. Okay, so this is an excellent tool. It gives a lot of capability to your typical red dot, and you know, red dot with a magnifier. Okay, you take any AR. And basically, you can turn it into a DMR gun. Okay, so this is an 11.5 inch. So I'll post some video when I'm actually shooting this out to 500 yards. Okay, and I'm basically, I think I got like inside. I got 4 out of 5 for 2.6 MOA, and I think with the 5th shot, which went wide, I think it was like 3 MOA, okay, or 3.5 MOA. But you know, either way, I'm basically inside of the man at 500 yards with an 11.5 inch shooting target ammo because of the reticle that's in here. Okay, so that's the holosun 503G. They do have it in other optics, other red dots out there. I know Primary Arms has a few that they have it in. I have not seen it in a big window optic, so I'd like to see this reticle like in an EOTech style optic, like a holosun 510C, like one of those big windows, big square windows. You know, I mean, that would be really excellent. And the thing with parallax is the magnifier is actually pretty good at keeping you honest with the parallax, because once you're looking through this tube over here, that's gonna force you to the center. Okay, so that's why when you zero with the magnifier, right? Because that's going to reduce the fact, you know, that's going to reduce the possibility of your head being, you know, off center, left or right. And one of the things that you can also do is you can back your head off of the magnifier, because when you're in like perfect eye relief, you're not going to see scope shadow. But if you back your head up a little bit, you'll start to see the shadow. So you want to make sure that shadow is even, right? If the shadow is even, then that means that you're centered on the optic, and now you can slide back up, get rid of the shadow, and you can take your shots. Okay, so some stuff for you guys to think about. Drop some comments. I'll talk to y'all soon. Hey, other thing I forgot to mention is for a 5-mile-per-hour wind, you would hold basically at the leg here, and you can do this all the way down for the different distances. If the wind is 10 miles per hour, you would just double it and follow that down. All right, we're gonna shoot the 500 yards again with the Palmetto 11.5 inch. Tighten this up. I loosened that up earlier for my cant. that's really interesting with this muzzle device here, this Radical Firearms. I had to really mess up with the cant because the ground's so uneven here. So I had to play with the cant to get this bubble level. But with the with this Radical Firearms Spitfire muzzle brake here, man, it's pretty. It's not a suppressor, but it comes pretty damn close because it's open in there. I can hear, like after the gun goes bang, I can hear the whistling. Like I can hear the bullets whistling down range, like whoosh. I've never been able to hear that before. So you can, after you go bang, you can hear the whistling down range. That's so cool. I've never heard that. I haven't shot suppressors in a very long time, and when I did shoot them, it was at pretty close distance. So that's really, really interesting. All right, so this time it looks like we got 4 out of 5 on the paper. Looks like the wind shifted. It was blowing them to the left a little bit because we got one in the middle. And maybe the wind, you know, we got a shift because then I got 3, because that's where the other ones landed, right? The ones with the circle are the 5 that I landed and I shot earlier. I think that was a total of 5 for 17 inches. Yeah, we got 5 at 17 inches at 500 yards earlier. This time we got 4 impacts. The 4 are at 15 inches. We got 15 inches, and then one got blown to the left there. So we had a wind shift, but still, man, 500 yards, 15 inches is damn good. And with the first 5 that I did, I mean, if I dropped the 5th one, which I'll usually do, I'll look at 4 out of 5. I'm at 14 inches. So we're getting pretty consistent, you know, 4 out of 5 for 15, you know, for about 14, 15 inches with this Wolf Gold out of the 11.5-inch barrel.